Well, hey, I was waiting for you. So glad you came by. Let's do some solving some equations. And it looks like we have variables all over the place. So this is problem number 2. And I've got a 7x, a negative 7x, and a negative 6x. So I'm going to clear out the x's on one side. So let me go ahead and, I'm going to add 7x from both sides. And I'm left with 4. I had 7 and I took it away, so that's gone, equals 1. And I'm left with negative 6x plus 7x. I'm left with 1x. Now I'm going to look at the side with the variable, which is my right side. And then I've got the variable x, and then I've got some other stuff. So I'm going to deal with my 1 that's right here. I have 1, so I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides, all for the purpose of me trying to isolate the variable. And I see that x equals 3. I'm going to check that real quick here. So 4 minus 7 times x, and we're saying it's 3, equals 1 minus 6 times x, which is 3. And when I take a look at that, when I check those are true. Both of those are equal, so fiery check mark. I'm going to do number 4. Actually, I'm going to pause number 4. Why don't you work it through and then press play and check your answer with mine. All right, I got that one to equal n equals 13. And you might have done something different too. You might have subtracted n from both sides to get started. You sure can do that. But that is n equals 13. This one, I'm going to do the number 6 with you to make sure we're set, because the first thing I'm going to do is I need to clean up both sides. So 4y is good, but I'm going to distribute this 2. So it's 4y equals 2 times y, which is 2y, 2 times negative 5, which is minus 10, minus 2. And now I can combine these pieces here. So I have 4y equals 2y minus 12. And I'm going to subtract 2y from both sides, so I end up with 2y equals negative 12. And then I'll divide by 2, and 2 over 2 is 1, so I end up with y equals negative 12 divided by 2 is going to be negative 6. And way up at the beginning here, you can do a couple different things. You can do a different order of things. Just the main thing you need to do is do all your adding and subtracting first, and then let dividing be one of your last steps. And also, as long as you do it to both sides, you should be set. All right, once you go ahead and do number 8, just keep in mind that this negative on the front is saying negative 1. You're distributing the negative 1 to both pieces. I'm going to press pause and work it out. Let's see how we both do. All right, when I simplified all the way down here, I see that I got x equals 3. Compare our work a little bit, see if you got something of a different answer. Once you look through it, sometimes we lose track of negatives as well. Number 10 and 12, I'm going to pause them and work these two out. These look pretty standard, so why don't you see how we do. All right, let's compare answers. And again, you might have started a little bit differently, and that's totally okay, as long as you do the same thing to both sides. Here we go. Hey, can you believe number 10? I ended up with a fraction answer. X equals 1/4 or 0.25. Crazy, but that can happen. That can happen. Whoa, 14 and 15. Holy moly, we got some distribution. I'm going to start number 14 with you. So I'm going to distribute this 2. So that's saying 2 times negative 3a. So I have negative 6a. 2 times 5, which is 10, and it's going to be positive, equals negative 4 times a. So it's negative 4a. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. And now this looks like all the other ones we've been doing, but let's see what I can do. I'm going to add 6a to both sides, and why I did that is just so I can have some positive a's to work with, but it doesn't really matter. It does fix itself if you keep track of everything. I'm going to add 16 because I'm going to isolate the variable. So I've got 26 equals 2a. I'm multiplying by 2, so to undo that, I'm going to divide by 2, but I got to do it to both sides to keep it equal. And 26 divided by 2 is 13. So a equals 13 on number 14. All right, number 16. 13. I'm going to press pause. Work it. Work it. All right, so when I worked this one out, I ended up with x equaling negative 11 halves. Okay, I thought like, wow, that's crazy. But that's a real answer, which is like negative 5.5. So something can happen like that. But to prove it, I went and plugged it in. So way at the top here, you can see that I did negative 6 times negative 5.5 plus 9. And I got, what did I get for that? I got like 42. And then I did the same thing over here. I did 5 minus negative 5.5 times 4. And I got the same answer. So this is right. It is negative 11 halves, or negative 5.5. Crazy, but that can happen. That is true. Oh, what do we got here? Oh, this is good. This is nice. All right, for number 18, don't, I mean, nothing's happening with that parenthesis in this second stuff, so you can actually take those out. Yeah, give it a try. See what happens. Press pause. I am. Race you to it. Pause in 3, 2. No. It's the one that looks like an 11, but it's not an 11. It's a pause button. All right, how'd it go? Number 20 was kind of crazy with that 1/6, but if you can think of this as 1/6 times 12, which is like 12/6, that's where I got the 2 from. And 1/6 times 6 is like 6/6. I just had to pay attention to that negative, and that's why it ends up being negative here. Sweet. Is there more? Is there more? There's no more. What? We're all done? Oh, how exciting. Oh, this is so great. Now I get to like just doodle a little bit. Maybe this is like some person just hanging out doing math. All right, so the best thing you can do for this kind of stuff is just keep getting better at it. And the best way to keep getting better at it is just by practicing it. And if you can't practice it, then maybe doodle. See if that helps. Like take a little breather, doodle a little bit and see what happens, and then get back to it. Because the only way you're going to get good at this is by practicing the stuff. All right, see ya.